Hi there and welcome to Bustthenet. Yes, this is a show I like to call Gamechanger. It's one where I go into your safe, take a look at it, and offer some suggestions. Sometimes they might work, sometimes they won't. But it's a chance for me to maybe give you another point of view that you might find helpful. So today I've got the first German safe ever. Right, I think so because I don't think I've received one yet, or I've done so many I've totally forgotten. But German saves are very rare for me, and it's interesting because I would love to give this save like more than a few games that I normally do. Uh, but this is going to be very interesting, and we have a team called Osnabrück from We are in the German second division, and this club has been managed by Dan Osborne, and they've done pretty okay. I think he took over when they were in the third division, then got themselves promoted into the 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 second division. So now he's in the second division, looking to survive, stay, do well. All right. So his results haven't been too bad actually. In the first season he was here, he did okay in the third division. He managed to get promoted using different tactics along the way. But most noticeable among all these tactics was he used like a few. Like he's got 4-3-3s. He's used the 4-2-3-1 wide system as well. I like this system, especially if I'm a non-league, lower league side. This system is, I like to call this the Portuguese diamond, only because when I managed Sporting Lisbon a few seasons back, the only area where I had issues. I had issues with the AI. The AI will always throw this tactic at me, and I'd go like, because I love to play attacking systems, and every time that tactic popped up in front of me, I'd be scratching my head because it'd be I crack up because I always I would always be pummeling these sides with 20 to 30 shots, and then it'd have one or two shots on target and it'd score. It drove me nuts, but it's a very hard system to break down, and that is this actually is one of my favorite systems in the game. If I were a team trying to punch above my weight, the demands aren't that high because what you need with a 4-2-3-1 narrow diamond is you just need strength at the back, and then you need fast players. You've also used the 4-1-3-2. The 4-1-3-2 is another good system for underdog sides, but it has got one notable weakness, which is the flanks, because you're not going to defend the flanks. Last season you did quite well. You had a few friendlies when there was during the winter break. You arranged three friendlies. I think this to keep your team match fit, I reckon. That's not too bad, but don't forget that you can also use that time to work on tactics. You can, if I were you, I'd like have one or two friendlies only, and more importantly, use that period of time for your boys to be training, so you get their numbers up, their attributes improved. Definitely, it's you got to be careful about overplaying your team. That's my personal opinion. There we go again, the 4-2, the Portuguese diamond. Now, in this particular case, the Portuguese diamond did you quite well. I mean, you're able to control the heat map alone tells me a lot. Okay, your passing diamonds, your passing triangles are going to be interesting. The thing is, you've done very well with the Portuguese diamond in being able to control a lot of the passes in midfield. Now, I like to look at my key pass combinations to identify where most of my play is going through. I mean, you should know your players better because I'm just staring at these names going, who the hell is Murtaz Daushuli? Okay, so yeah, so you have quite a number of players through whom the play goes through. So this is Murtaz Daushvili, very key player in your team. So uh, it shows your system was working. 62% possession. I definitely would be thinking about making sure that you use the same system as much as possible. It's easier when you're trying to get promoted. When you start mixing and matching pieces together and you're hoping to get some results out of that, sometimes things can fall flat in your face. You've gone also, I also noticed that you have a few 4-3-3 formations as well. Now, the 4-3-3 narrow is definitely an easy formation to master against the AI, because most of the time the AI can't really handle the 4-3-3 narrow simply because of its three strikers. But the same cannot be said about playing it online versus another player. Savvy football manager players will probably be able to come up with a counter for the 4-3-3, any three striker systems. Most of them will. It won't take them long to figure out how to do it. Most of them already know, so I won't be dealing with that here. The thing is that you have three systems. This 4-3-3 narrow is unnecessarily attacking. It doesn't need to be this attacking. So the other thing about the 4-3-3 narrow is, in order for you to make it work, you're gonna have all three of these players needing good acceleration. So you gotta compare yourself to the rest of the league. So let's check out how you stack up with the rest of the league. So what I would do here is go to the squad, the team report rather, go to squad depth. We'll do comparisons. Okay, so we want to know in terms of physicals how your players stack up, your strikers in terms of their acceleration, where they sit versus the rest of the league. The league's highest acceleration is 14.75. You've got about 12 for an average. Your defenders, about 11 below average, 16 in the league, 12, 13. I would say 13 is the best. So in terms of raw acceleration, yours is in the league is one of the slower teams. So if you're playing a 4-3-3 and your strikers cannot give you 13 and higher, forget it. The problem is going to happen when the ball gets to them. They're not going to break past defenses. Defenses are going to catch up with them. So your three players who are supposed to cover up most of the chances on their own, sometimes there may even be a fourth player there. It's not really going to happen because they're not good enough to break away. The whole thing about these three striker systems is they're attribute dependent, right? So you need the right attributes to make them work very well. If you're just plucking a tactic in and you're hoping, I heard the three striker systems are overpowering, and you don't get the right players for it, they're just going to be another tactic. So while what we're going to do on today's show is going to look at your overall team, how they stack up, and what we can do differently to get you moving. So let's look at your defenders and their mentals right now. So we're looking at the mentals for your defenders, and we're trying to ascertain whether they have got good positioning. Now, positioning, definitely not too bad. You need to beat 13, but you've got about 12. That's pretty okay. And then we're looking at the midfielders and strikers off the ball. Your off the ball is about 11. So move in terms of finding spaces and movement, you gotta get boys who are about 13 to be the best in the land, and you're aiming for between 12 to 13. So every time you have to decide whether or not a player should be attacking, you look at the off the ball first, and then you go like, oh, he's only 12. He's okay, he's not fantastic. So this is something that you need to bear in mind. So every time you decide on who's going to be playing, there are only three things that you have to worry about: defend duties, support duties, attacking duties, right? For attacking duties, the first thing you want to check is off the ball. So does he have 13? If he doesn't have 13, you have to think about it. Second thing you have to worry about is support duties. Now, support duties, positioning off the ball. We already know 13 is the positioning number to beat, and off the ball is 13, so 13 is the number to beat. So, okay. So there you look. Support becomes very, very difficult because it's one of the hardest duties to get right, because you're gonna be tempted to put in players that you like, and then when your sentiment gets in the way, then you end up putting players there that don't really who really shouldn't be there. And finally, defenders, positioning 12, fine. Now, what about jumping reach? That's the last equation that we need to figure out. So we look at midfielders and strikers, but now we're gonna look at physicals, because we want to know, whenever we face teams, where are the threats going to come from corners and set pieces? Because I put a lot of emphasis on corners and set pieces You generally want to make sure that you got the right kind of players. But whether you prefer to use a zonal kind of marking system or a man marking kind of system, that's okay. But you still need those players to win the headers, right? So jumping reach becomes very, very important. Now here, jumping reach for your strikers, they're not strong in the air. Most of your strikers aren't fast, and they're not strong in the air. The guys who've got the best jumping reach are hovering in the close 15s. I think Germany have got a lot of these clubs. It's pretty common in Germany to be born tall, I guess. But 15 is the jumping reach that the strikers have, and then midfielders jumping reach not so bad, and then we got a defenders jumping reach, about 14. 13 to 14. So you already know the strikers are about 14. So your defenders need to match them in jumping reach. Wow. So you got a lot of issues, man. So the way I look at these numbers, the first thing that goes to my mind, then German Bundesliga, German Division 2 is slightly more competitive in terms of the attribute requirements, slightly more demanding than the championship. Okay, so now we look at now we basically go to the second part of the whole thing. We got to look at your tactics first up. Now, how would you want to play? Well, you've got several tactics here. You got a 4-1-3-2. You got one of my narrow Mazzala systems, and you've got a 4-4-1. This narrow Mazzala system is incredibly attacking. I warn you now, okay? Because the reason why it's incredibly attacking is because of these two roles. And this needs fast players to pull off. There's another version called the 4-3-3 King's Press, which is different. That had players that were a bit more... We were a bit more defensive. We had defensive duties at the back, and we had support duties mostly in midfield, and then we used the same three combination up top. So that's probably what we're going to do with your team. Because let's be honest, your players are not going to explode out into space. And I am very hesitant about using any three strikers if your acceleration of the front three isn't very good. However, you can still use the system. Here we've got a 4-4-1-1, which is the Firefly, which is also another one of my systems. This is fine. It can work, but it's important to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the system. The strength in this system largely comes with the extremely attacking left flank. We got a player exploring the half spaces. He's going to work very closely with the attacking playmaker. We've got a winger giving us width on the left flank. We've got a wide midfielder helping out on the right flank. Now we got a DLF who's going to drop deeper, and we've got this playmaker in the final third who's actually going to be looking for opportunities to unlock teams and try and get these players into positions, while we have an inverted wing back high up the pitch with a defensive centre back on defend duty willing to step up and do something about it. Okay, it's attacking. We know how this is going to play out, but we also need to know whether we have the players for it. Then finally we have a 4-1-3-2, which is a balanced tactic. Now this is a great tactic. It's what I would like to call a lopsided tactic. However, there's one fundamental error in this system, and this is one of the areas that you can improve. It all depends on whether or not this fullback on attack is isolated during the transition. Because if he's bombing up forward, he's really going to only have the ball winning midfielder to support him. But once he gets into the final third, he doesn't have anybody else to support him. So he has to be able to do a lot of things on his own, or we need to give him support. We do that by swapping these two positions. So the DLF comes here and the AF comes here. When the DLF comes here, he becomes a person that he can pass to, and then he can tiki-taka his way to the flanks and try and get in across, and that could work as well. So these are certain things that we small little tweaks that we can make to our system. However, with this 4-3-3 and all these other systems, we have to first understand whether we can find the players for it. So I'm just going to do a quick pick and ask the ass man. Giz, I'm like you, right? So I go into the game, oh man, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna ask the ass man. I do that all the time as well to find out whether or not my players fit. So let's now take a look at each tactic and see whether or not we have the players based on what we just discussed. So we got a inverted wing back here. He needs decision making. He has to have first touch. He needs some passing. Basically, you're looking for a defensive midfielder who can play in this role. Okay, he can't play in this role. So we know that this guy is not going to be good in this role. We need to find another player who can actually play as a fullback, come in here, become a defensive midfielder. So wow, we need this guy to be able to tackle, and then we need this guy to be able to unlock the pass and also have good positioning. So Engel's positioning is 11, which is okay, but his passing, his vision, and his decisions not so fantastic. Okay, so we got to think about him. Then on the left flank, this is a winger on attack. He's going to accelerate, he's going to get out, and he's going to try and cross. Now, the problem for our little friend here is the fact that he doesn't have very good balance. So when he gets the ball, he's gonna twist and turn, and then he might even lose the ball. So he needs support whenever he moves forward. So he's gonna get the support from these three players who are not gonna be far away. Ahmad Arslan, whether he can play this role or not, this is gonna be tough. He's not gonna be tracking back to help you defend. So this makes this role even more important. Now we got Mazzala on this side. He needs flair. First up, that's it. The moment I look at Mazzala, you need some flair. You need passing, vision, decisions, and flair. Okay, we have most of them, but we don't have flair. So he's not going to do the unpredictable. Okay, so on the Mazzala position now is an issue. Okay, now we've got Daushvili. Okay, Daushvili, if I remember, he played a really good game for you last season because he seems to be able to link up play very well in a 4-2-3-1. Those linking play up. He's a solid player that can move the ball around. His weaknesses are the fact that, defensively, sometimes he loses concentration. Now, between using Sekulic as a Mazzala and him as a Mazzala, I might use him. However, his lack of flair is the one that's going to drive me nuts. So KD plays a deep lying playmaker instead of a CM on defense. Possible, then we might want to change the Mazzala's role to compensate for the fact that now we've lost one player in the area. It's just a consideration, but we need to find one player here, one player here, one player here. So far, we're running out of players already. Now, we've got Timothy Tofleb. Again, on the right flank, we've got a wide midfielder on attack. Now, this guy seems to be fine at what he's doing in that position. Passing, vision, and decisions, attacking playmaker David Martins. Not very good in this position. The ass man seems to give him a nice big green, but in my book, it's like a big F. Okay? Because he's got below average first touch. He's got low composure. When people put him under pressure, he's just gonna buckle and he's just gonna give the ball away. So that's gonna be an issue for this player. So we have a problem, Houston. Okay, so what we're gonna do is find another way of analyzing our team, because the first way, we're not getting a lot of help. So now we go to a more detailed way of analyzing our team. So first up, I'm gonna ignore your ass man, because we have to do this ourselves. Basically ourselves. So we're gonna turn it to custom roles, and then we're gonna take a look at the Firefly system first up. Now the Firefly system, we know that at the back we're looking for a player who can play as a wing back and can do the passing, vision, and decisions. Okay, now Durko, 32 years old. His acceleration is only 11. Engel, he's not playing there. Lee Hodson, maybe. In fact, very likely he can. His passing is 12. His vision may be a bit low. His decisions are not that fantastic. But at least this guy, we got 1 and 2. Positioning is okay, but he's not gonna. He might be able to play the simple passes, right? But he's okay. He's gonna have risky passes on, so that's the danger. He might lose possession. So we have to make sure that he's got easy passing options in the final third. Then we got this guy is out, and we've run out of players for the inverted wingback position. Now at the back, we've got our 2 central defenders. We will ignore them for now. Here on the right flank, we're looking for acceleration. We're looking for crossing. We're looking for some player to get up the pitch. So if you've got 13 for acceleration, positioning is 12, tackling is 11. He can play in that role. This guy's a right-footed player. He can play as a wing-back on the right. Positioning is 11, tackling is 11. Composure, concentration is okay. Anticipation off the ball, not that fantastic. So the first choice is definitely Marcel Apia. And then finally we got Lee Hodson. Lee Hodson, he's 27 years old, definitely can play in this role. He's a right-footed player, plays short, simple passes. So when he gets up the pitch, he's just going to look to make the short, simple pass. If he can't, he's just going to lose the ball. Okay, so we keep doing this to understand our players. So now we have a wide midfielder on the right. What we want from this position is composure, passing. We need this player to actually link up play with a fullback on the right who's not that fantastic. And we need to make sure that he has to be able to hold on to the ball. So composure is going to be very important for this player. So we're looking at all the players, and we actually see we don't see a lot of players who can play in this role. Now the moment I see tackling 8, he's out, because this this wide midfielder is going to be expected to do some tackling. All right, so we're left with only one player who can play in that role, Ahmad Aslan, because his tackling is oh my bloody. So we've actually run out of players for this role. So there aren't any. So when I look through your players, there isn't anybody who can play here. So one of the central midfielders will probably have to move into this position. Then we're looking at our players. This guy, he can play in the middle of the park. That's it, settled. He's got flair. He's our Mazala. Okay, then we've got Christian Bo. We got Christian Grob. Anticipation 9. First touch is 10. Composure is 11. Not that fast. Passing vision. Everything looks very average. He actually can play on the right as well. Okay, that's not too bad. So we got 2 players who might be able to play on the right. Now got another player here, 11. But okay, we got 3 players now who can play on the right. So in terms of midfielders, you are suddenly looking all right. So these three positions, we can fill them up. So this is going to be quite easy. So then we come up to the advanced playmaker. The advanced playmaker, we need first touch and composure. So as we look through this team, we're looking for a player who has passing vision, first touch, composure, and off the ball. Then we found this guy, Rydell Poepon, who you are trialing. And I'm looking through this guy going, yeah. But he's 31 years old. So he's a short-term fix to a long-term problem. Okay, we got this other player who can play in this position. We got Tigres, Tolop, David Martins. No, he can't play there. And we've got another player called Jonas Aurelia. He's okay. He's not too bad. So for this position, we need off the ball. We need off the ball, first touch, composure, passing visions, and decisions. Finally, the guy up top, the strikers. Now, the strikers are really easy, right? So what you want from these guys, playing the DLF on support. So the first thing you want from this guy is strength. Then you need passing. Forget the finishing first up. You just need to hold up the ball and get others into play. So we've got strength here. We've got passing. We've got vision and decisions. Off the ball. Okay, Fiat can play in that position. Then we've got another player. I'm looking at strength first. Nah, he can't play in that position. You actually, this old man he might actually be kind of good at this position. I mean, his vision is not so fantastic, but yeah, he definitely, and he moves into channel, so that saves us one player trade. In fact, it was me. I'll probably be signing him. Then we got Bam Waka, and then we got I'll do this now. Transfer, contract, approach to sign. If it's me, I'm signing him now. Key player, will play as a first team player. Seasonal, forget all this bullshit. You're not gonna get any seasonal nonsense from me. Okay, I want to keep things cheap, so I'll give you a clause that says, we give you a bonus. If we win the German Cup, I'll give you $1 million. All right, how's that for a plan? Okay, that means if we win the German Cup this season, so 1 million rather. Oh, you only get 2.9k. Wow, we'll see whether he wants it. Now he wants to be a key player, first team. So we'll give you a bit more money. Okay, still cheaper than giving you match bonuses. So we're gonna sign this player, and we're hoping that he can join our team for the first match. So okay, we got Firefly that can work. Firefly can be used by your team, right? So now we're looking at the narrow Mazala system. Okay, now this system, all I'm going to do is look at strikers, because if we know they are midfielders, there's a whole bunch that can tackle. Then what we need is players up top who can get away. So we're only looking at one attribute. It's called acceleration. And we are proud to say that you don't have it. So that kind of rules this tactic right out. I mean, you can use this tactic, but you have to bear in mind that these guys are not going to break forward. So how would I fix this system? Okay, so for this system, we got DLF on support, and advanced forward. So all these 2 players can be your slower players. We will use a variation of this tactic, and we will just make it so that we go through. We will not be so attacking in orientation. So these guys will be central defender on defense. We got a wing back on defense who come up here and support our friend over here. So it's a slightly different tactic. We'll play it on structured, so we don't involve everybody into our transitions. We are going to play on a normal defensive line. We are also going to play fairly wide because we want to use the flanks. So that's the tweak we made to this system. Now for this tactic, fullback on attack can come up. We're going to change these 2 guys around. So the advanced forward is here, and then we'll play the deep line forward on support. So these two guys are going to play off each other. We can also turn this guy into a trequartista, so we can forget about the rest of the team and just hope that these two boys can do something between themselves is another option. Now, that all depends on whether we have the players for these two positions. So we got control, flexible, pass into space. We're not going to start with this shot when we begin every game. We're just going to go simple, play wider, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. And then we will see what happens after that. Now, here we have an attacking playmaker. What we're going to tell him to do is get further forward, right? So that what you end up getting is a kind of a diamond system. So here with the Carrerello, what we're going to ask him to do is we're going to ask him to close down a bit more and leave it alone. Now, we are going to set up like this system is going to be more or less a bit more defensively orientated. So we're going to have a defensive center back here. When he gets the ball, he's going to hoof the ball up. We have a defensive midfielder here. The problem with the defensive midfielder, he closes down more. I don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this guy into a halfback. So he will actually drop in, give you a 3 group. There'll be a bit of space now between these two, and this guy is going to bomb a bit forward. Slightly different variation of my own 4-1-3-2 tactic, but based on what you have in your team, it might be okay. This is more like a defensive version of the tactic. And then finally, we've got Firefly, which is actually a fun tactic. Now, this one, there's a lot of movement. Most of the games, we're going to start with this tactic. So we're going to run through all the player traits. We've got move into channels here. We've got an attacking playmaker. We want him to move into channels as well. Or rather, we don't want him to move into channels. Actually, I'll just much rather he stay in this position. He's going to be looking for players to make passes to. We got a wide midfielder here. Now, this is when I created this is a mid-round outer. Okay, so we have two ways of setting it up. We can either play him as a mid-round outer, which is this position. So he's going to roam from position. He's actually going to come inside. He's actually going to attack this way. He's going to be another goal threat. So you're going to have to find a player who can score with his left foot. So this position is a left. You need somebody who can finish, and he has a left foot. Now, this guy finishes, but he has a right foot. So this is the other consideration that we need to make. On this flank, we actually have this player, Stefan Trigres, who can play in this position. Right, so he can play here. Whether or not he's going to perform really well, that's something that we don't know yet. We'll have to play a few games. Now, we can play it on control fluid. We are working the ball into the box. We're playing balance, so we're not really emphasizing play down the flanks or through the middle. But these are the small tweaks that we can make to the tactic. Here's a wing on attack, inverted wing back, and few risky passes for this guy. Fair enough. Alright, so these are simple little PIs and player traits for all three tactics. And we're actually going to play one game and a few games, and then we're going to tweak it along the way. And then we'll come up with our final mission, our final tactic for the system. Okay, before we get into the games proper themselves, let's look at your training. Now, whenever I like training, your defensive positioning being set up because you're playing Kaiserslautern at home. Fine, but we want to try and win this game, so I'm going to tell my players to do this. This is fine. Here, your overall workload is medium. There's nothing wrong with doing something like this. They've got a rest day. Let's take a look at the squad and their training. We've got everybody in heavy, so this is okay. And you're very clear on how you want your players to develop. Let's look at Timothy. Let's just check one of them, right? So you've got Timothy Toffleb. He's actually been trained as a trequartista. So development training. You got trequartista with him. You're aiming to get dribbling, finishing, first touch, passing, vision off the ball, flair. Fair enough. Looks like a very, very interesting little setup you have. His workload is heavy, right? You can afford to bring it up to intensity level can go up to heavy. See, is the individual training workload has not changed. That is fine. The problem is if you give him a player trait. Now, if you give him a player trait, then he might have an issue. He might go to very heavy, and then you just drop. You opt one or the other, or you change your team training workload. So we basically looked at your training. We've done. That's not too bad. Financially, it's not too bad either. You've got a transfer budget of 181 and a scouting budget of 30,000. Your overall balance is 18. So maybe you might want to think about. You might have to think about selling players eventually. But now it's still early in the season. There's no real need to do that. But we'll just get cracking and get ready for our first match against the team called Kaiserslautern. So we've gone through your team, we've done a bit of analysis before the game, and we've picked some of the players up. We have certain concerns. One, you don't have central defenders who are great in the air. You are running into trouble. You might, even if you get promoted this season, you better start scouting. Your scouting priority has to be central defenders who are strong in the air, because your central defenders that you have available, one of them is injured. Right, he's out for 2 weeks. Ban Tolka, he's not bad, but he's pretty slow. You got this player called Furkan Zoba, whose jumping reach is only 13. He's okay, but still, average. You got Eduardo Lancini, who has to play because he's the only one that you have who's half decent. So your priority for next season has got to be finding a central defender. Now, that has to be a major priority. So if you do well this season and you get promoted, you're going to be in trouble next season, because you probably will not be able to find one that's cheap. So you have to start your scouting now, and you're going to be targeting all the teams that are in danger of getting relegated from the division above you, and you're also going to look for free signings, because that's the only two ways you can go. So I've gone to your scouting center, looked through your short list, and then what I've done is I've adjusted this balance, composure, decisions, determination. I brought it down to like 10 for everything. First touch, passing, vision, so we can see who is available, and we want free transfer signings only, right? So we're looking for this DM slot, and then we found Adam Sirota. Adam Sirota, I would sign him in a heartbeat, right? So he definitely will come in. He is your Mazzala now. So you've got Adam Sirota, he's going to be a Mazzala, you can get him on a free. So let's see if he's interested in coming. Approach to sign. Yep, minimum fee release clause. He needs a minimum fee release clause. I probably would sign him, even though he says he's going to leave you for domestic clubs in a higher division. It'll help you this season, but if you get promoted, you could renegotiate the contract. You could definitely renegotiate his contract later. So I would sign him. The inverted wingback is going to be a bit more challenging, because ideally you want somebody who's got a left foot. But if he's got a right foot, it may not be the end of the world, because he's actually going to be moving up to the left side, to the central areas of the pitch. So furthermore, he's on a defend duty, so off the ball doesn't become a priority. So when we're looking at the attributes, we're looking at these attributes. First touch, passing, tackling, decisions, determination, positioning, acceleration, and balance. So we've got a few players here already. Some of them are interesting. We got Gerard Nauber, 27-year-old. Jumping reach is 14. Solves one other problem in your team. He's a defender, central defender, who's only good with his right foot. He can play as a central defender when you need him to. So this guy can definitely be somebody that I would purchase immediately. Then we have other players like Zé Eduardo. He's right only, runs with ball down the right, gets forward whenever possible. We also have Marco Toscano, not too bad. 22-year-old youngster who's got upside. He's got he's got some upside. So I would look at him if I definitely would sign him. It was me, personally speaking, I would definitely sign him, and I would be playing him, because he is a player that can develop. He's got dictates tempo. I would play him as an inverted wingback to start with. I can also play him as a defensive midfielder. I can also think about playing him as a Mazzala, because he's got passing, vision, and decisions. All right. So, but his off the ball isn't fantastic. So it will take some. So we'll have to train him as well. But there's upside with him. So we got a few players that can definitely come in. And then when we're looking at the central defender slots, what we do is we remove everything. We clear everything. And then we look at jumping reach, positioning, and I want jumping reach, positioning, and some work rate. And we'll just drop it in at 14 and see whether there are any defenders out there who can come in with these attributes. Work rate of 14, jump positioning of 14, and jumping reach. Unfortunately, there are none. So we drop it down one notch to 13, 13, 13, and we've got these defenders. We have Matthias Kosho, jumping reach 16, mental's not that fantastic, anticipation is okay. Onlu Again, not too fantastic. Uh, mm, Not too fantastic. Carlos Garcia, not too fantastic. It looks like our first option earlier, with the youngster, the 22 youngster, is definitely the way to go. So these are some of the players that you might be you could fit into your system. So how did our matches actually go? Against Kaiserslautern, we used a 4-3-3 narrow system. We found that we were defensive for large periods of time. We were trying to hit on the break. We had lots of good opportunities. I mean, I was pretty impressed with how we broke forward. But the clear-cut chances that we had three. Your strikers couldn't finish them. I mean, they didn't have to make it to make this system more solid, you need seven new players, and they all have to have acceleration. That is the problem with using the 4-3-3. We did okay for long periods of time, but we conceded one goal from a set piece against Kaiserslautern. I was a bit disappointed, but never mind. This showed us a lot of things in this game about the areas in your team that are weak. First up, heading in the box. Your defenders need jumping reach because they can't really handle set pieces from teams that have got better jumping reach than yours. Our second game, we used the 4-4-1-1 system, which was a lot more. We had a lot more control in this game. We created a lot of chances in this match. We were fantastic when we went up to attack. However, the absence of a player in the center of the park who has got good positioning and good off the ball, basically a hatchet man, a really good one, was telling in the team. Because while we looked great going up, we didn't look so great when we lost the second ball. This was one of your attacking moves. We are playing the system on control fluid, and you can see the number of players who get into transitions to attack here. Our wingback has gone right up to deliver across, and this is your wide midfielder on attack. He's arriving inside the box. He's going to be an outlet for you in the future. And then we've got the other winger here, and we got one more central midfielder here. So plenty of goal mouth action. And then your striker arriving late, your DLF on support, coming late to score the goal. So pretty nice. Our second goal, defensive set piece mistake. And then we had this big, huge blunder by the keeper. The ball's coming. The keeper decides to hit the ball. He hits the ball right into the path of Kolak. Kolak makes no mistake. From there, that's actually quite a good volley. We are 2-1 down. And again, the beauty about this system is going forward, you got lots of players in the transition. So as you can see, lots of players moving up to attack. Your winger on attack is charging the box. The DLF is here. The wide midfielder is arriving late, and your midfielders are also coming up to support. And there we go. Xerxes inside the box, takes it down, smashes it home. So equalizer in this match. Very nice to see. Second half, again, once more, the fullback we did something different in the second half. So what I did was I told the fullback, he's originally a wing back, so I told him to become a fullback, and I gave him the whole position instruction. So we moved the ball, and our third goal was very nicely worked, again using the players on the left. However, defensively, the absence of that player in the middle to chop other players down, his absence is telling. So while we were playing quite well, we were not able to keep the 3 points. We've managed to get the last goal came off our own set piece, and the match finished for all. I do believe that your team has the capacity to win. The question is, how are you going to set this up? So my recommendation is to show up those two key areas on the pitch, and also this area, which is the reason why I wouldn't recommend the 4-3-3, because the 4-3-3 requires you to get 6 players. Here you probably only need to sign 2 players, at most 3, and you should be fine. This position here is going to bag you a lot of goals. So the player who plays there, eventually you'll be training him as an inside forward. The reason being that the inside forward's attributes are going to, when you train those attributes, those attributes are going to come in very handy for this white midfielder who's actually playing as a mid-round router. So he's going to arrive late in the box. The only problem with this mid-round router is we also got him to sit narrow. He's going to just charge into the box. He's always going to be free for the ball. He's going to be, you don't want to play somebody here who has got 0 for tackling. So ideally, you want somebody here who has got some tackling, but I like Stefan Tigges. He's not too bad. But in your team, you have quite a few options that you can play here. Anybody whose preferred foot is left is going to cut inside and try and score. So all these players, Jonas, Arvelier, Tigges, what you want to do even with Bamuaka Simakala, okay, is to go and get them trained as inside forwards or inverted wingers, one of those two, and get them to work on the right side of the pitch. So you got these players working on the right side of the pitch. Since you're already naturals on the left, they shouldn't have an issue coming and covering for Durko. Then all you need to do is find one more player here. Ideally, you want to get 2, but if you only can find that Australian guy, the Australian guy and the young Italian player should cover you nicely. And then you just have to, there's one third player that you can get who's got decent jumping reach. Because here you got 116. And you go on Lanzini, who's about 13. But you can get a third player and get cover. Because at the moment, you don't have a lot of good cover. You've got this player who's jumping reach is 13. His anticipation is relatively poor. His positioning is just shocking. 7. So he has to be trained. His positioning has to be improved. Then we got Christian Grobe. This guy can, if you can't find a defensive midfielder to play on the left-hand side, then I would use him. I could retrain him because he's not ever going to play as a central midfielder if I was the manager. I would definitely retrain this player and turn him into an inverted wing back. So we'll position roll him, defend on the left, and that's it. You're now going to be an inverted wing back for the rest of your natural life. Other central defenders, Ban, 16, he's not too bad. You can play him. This player's a bit slow, but you definitely can use him in your system. It's not too bad. He's not that bad, but he's slow. His acceleration is 9. And then we got David Martins. David Martins is a youngster, 18 years old. I would definitely be training him as an inside forward. Why? Because if I train them as an inside forward, I can use them in a variety of positions. I can use them here, I can use them here, I can use them here, I can use them here. So if I play them out wide, I'll play the inside forwards all in this position because this position is going to be my goal striker's position. However, I'll be very wary about playing players here who cannot tackle. So whenever you have a player here who can't tackle, think about this position. 2 things you can do. 1, turn this into a wingback or support. Give him, if you want him to hold his position, change the role straight away to a fullback on support. Tell him to hold his position. But now you can ask him to do this. You can ask him to play more risky passes. So what happens is this guy pings the ball this way. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Gamechanger. If you have any questions, you can find me. You can always look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. You make this kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care. Have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.